In this sublesson, we are going to create a clustered column chart, and we're going to go through the process of formatting a clustered column chart. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the supporting Power BI desktop file open for this sublesson and wait a moment. Okay, so I have my Power BI desktop file open. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the visualizations palette here, and we're going to go ahead and find our clustered column chart. So we're going to find that is the third visualization over here. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and click on that. And if I just zoom back out, we're going to see that an empty visualization that is a clustered column chart has been added to the reporting canvas. So the next thing that we're going to do here is we're just going to take this blank visualization and I'm just going to put it over here in my canvas and just roughly position it like that. We're going to actually go through and get it placed exactly where we want it in the grids here in a few moments here by going through the formatting. But for now, this is good enough. This is roughly where I want this visualization to land. Okay, so what we're going to do is move into the next steps and start building data into this visualization. Okay, so we are ready to start putting some data into our visualization here. And for the next little bit, this is pretty much like creating visualizations in any other reporting tool. We're going to go through a process of building data in the visualization and using the formatting over here to make the visualization look nicer. And we'll just continuously be bouncing back and forth between the two as we get the visualization just right for our end user. Because keeping in mind, we're always trying to tell a story here, and we want the story to be compelling and intuitive. So right now we've decided that clustered column chart is the right visualization for this, but as you progress your storytelling abilities and skills, you may start using different types of visualizations. So let's go ahead and get some data bound into this visual first. So the first thing we're going to do here is we are going to add the calendar year. So I'm going to open up my order date table, go to my order date hierarchy here, and I'm going to grab the order date year column here. I'm going to take this and drag it over to the axes and just go ahead and drop it right in there. When I'm doing the dropping, there will be a black dotted line that shows up around the well here, and that'll signify that we're ready to actually drop the field into that bucket and it will be accepted. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to drop. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to close the order date table and I'm going to move over to my sales table here, and I am going to grab my total sales and drag it down here to the values. So once we do that, now we can see we have our visualization drawing itself out. So we actually have some data bound into our visual, and now it is completed being drawn. So now the next thing we do is go in and actually start formatting this visualization. So what we're going to do here is, since our visual has focus, and this is actually a really important concept, so I just want to zoom in here. So it's going to zoom in on this visual here, and we're going to see we have this gray box that sits around the outside of the visualization here, and that means this visual is what currently has focus. So what that means is once it has focus, the tabs up on the ribbon will change in context to what is being selected, and the formatting that we're going to go into next here will be specific to the object that we have selected as well. So the concept of focus is really important, because if I actually go ahead and click in the canvas here, now the canvas actually has focus. So you'll notice that the menuing at the top has changed. If I go into the formatting cards are a little bit different because they're specific to the actual report canvas and not the visual. So once again, I'm just going to click on the visual so that it gets focus back. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go to the format, and we're going to go into the x-axis first to do some formatting here. So the very first thing we're going to do is change the type from continuous to categorical, like so. Then what we're going to do is we'll go down just a little bit lower here, and we're actually going to turn the title off for the x-axis. So this isn't the title of the actual report, but we're actually just going to turn the title off for the x-axis. So if we go ahead and take a look here where it says order date on the screen, I know it's a little hard to see. I'm just going to click this box over, and now you're going to notice the title for the x-axis disappears. The next thing we're going to do here is we're actually going to go to the Y card. So I'm just going to scroll up here and close up my x-axis card. And this is just a good habit to get into when you're working with the cards, is to go into a card, do the configurations you need to do, and then close it back up, just so it's easier to see which properties belong to which cards. So now I'm going to open up my y-axis here. And what we're going to do here first is we're going to go and fix the y-axis. So what I'm going to do here is in the start and end positions, I'm going to choose the value 0 here as my start. And in the end, I'm going to do 90 million. So I'm going to type in 90, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just like that. And now this way, whenever I'm doing interactions with my visuals, the y-axis will stay fixed and avoid any possible deception with the axes and the sizing of the actual visuals themselves. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're just going to go up and close the, I guess we want to go and turn the y-axis title off as well. So let's just go like that. I'm going to turn that title off. Then I'm going to go up and turn the y-axis card off here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the data labels on. So if we take a look at the visualization itself, we're not seeing any labels on these reports. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on. And now you're going to see various labels show up on the visualizations themselves. So what we're going to do here is open the data labels card up, and we're going to go and change the position of the labels from auto to inside end. So we're going to see here is the labels for some of these visuals actually move to the inside of the visualization at the very end. Others, where it was too small to be displayed, have just been removed completely here. So the next thing we want to do here is let's just go ahead and add one decimal place in here. We can see that it says 90 million, 39 million, and 32 million. Let's just go ahead and add a decimal plot into here so we have a little bit more information on the actual visuals themselves here. Okay, so the visualization is starting to look a little bit better here. Let's go in next and we'll go to the general card. And here's where we're actually going to position the visual exactly where we want it on the screen. So I'm going to change my x-axis to 654. I'm going to change my y position to 115, like so. I'm going to make the width 584. So just go 584. Go ahead and enter like that. And the height of this visual should be 254. So just like that. So now I've actually gone in and controlled exactly the X and Y positions and how wide and high I wanted this visualization to actually be. The next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go down to the title card. We're actually going to give our visualization a proper title. So if I take a look in the title text here, it's called Total Sales by Order Date Year. What I want to do here is I'm just going to actually go ahead and modify that. We're just going to call it Total Sales by Year. So let's just go ahead and remove the order date piece here. So we say total sales by year. What I'm going to do is just scroll a little further down the page here. I'm going to make the title show up in the center. So I'm going to change my alignment to center. The font is a black, which is quite nice here. And the text size is good. I'm going to leave it at 14. Okay, so those are some of the key things we want to go ahead and format on this visual itself. Okay, so the last thing we want to show you here in the visualization is how to control the sorting. So in the upper right-hand corner of the visualization, we can see these three dots called the ellipses, and it's called More Options. So I'm just going to zoom in here just to show you what this looks like. So we go in here, we can actually click these three little dots, and we're going to get a dialog box here that shows up that gives us some additional configuration properties. I'm just going to zoom back out. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to influence the sorting order of the actual visualization itself. So what we're going to do here is we can see that it's sorting descending by default because it's bolded and there's a little yellow bar right next to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then go and take a look at the sort by. So it's sorting descending by total sales. What I want to do is I want to make this visual sort ascending instead. And then I actually want to sort it ascending by the order date year. So if I just go into here like so, we can see the visual is now sorted in a different order. So this is really nice. I can control the sorting right at the visualization level and do some different things to that visual based on who the user actually is. Okay, so that's actually good enough for this visual here. So this is walking through just creating some a pretty basic visual here in our clustered column chart and doing some very basic formatting here. As mentioned back in the opening of this lesson here, most of the focus of this set of sublessons is going to be the things that are unique to Power BI and how Power BI can differentiate itself by adding in some additional features, which we're going to talk about here in the next few sublessons. Okay, so that brings us to the end of sublesson 3.